I'm Michael Bain, and welcome to the first of our triggered special events on the USCCA EXPO and training event in Fort Worth, Texas a couple of weeks ago. For this special, we're going to start out with Mr. Michael Janich, who you may have heard of before, and then we're going to take a look at some of those Staccato handguns, formerly STI International world-class guns, and spend a little time with our friend Ron Norton to talk about the implications of the ruling junta's ban on Russian ammunition. Let's take a look.
You're probably familiar with this guy. I feel like I've stood next to this guy for 20 years.
Yeah, it seems that way.
Just about 20 years. Of course, Michael Janich saw him originally on Shooting Gallery in those early seasons.
Way back in the day.
Way back, and then on the Best Defense. Since then, he's been hiding under his couch at home. But I thought since we're here at USCCA, at Spyderco booth, where you actually work for Spyderco.
Work is a relative term.
Relative
Yeah.
term. What you been doing since Best Defense stopped filming?
Well, once I stopped crying after that, missing you, basically focusing on doing my job at Spyderco and also training and trying to cultivate my training community, which during the pandemic, obviously a challenge, but we have the distance learning program, we have the ability to communicate with folks in my community around the world and just trying to keep everybody going, keep everybody training as much as they possibly can. Worked a lot on solo training and methodology for that, ways to keep your hand in as far as keeping your skills up and all that kind of stuff, and also just supporting each other to stay sane throughout all this craziness.
You know, your distance learning concept for Martial Blade concept was sort of made for when you're stuck at home. I mean, you essentially had the core of what training needed to be done while you were sitting at home eating bonbons.
We weren't necessarily eating bonbons, but I won't it's possible. But yeah, the distance learning program, it was born from the idea that we didn't have instructors everywhere. So I would get requests from people all the time, hey, I live in XYZ place, whatever it is, and I looked at your instructor locator and there's nobody in my area. And it's like, okay, well, we have this program that allows you to get access to information, get access to training in a way that is kind of the next best thing. But one of the things I also did in martial arts, you'll see like training dummies, like Wing Chun is famous for their Mukjong dummy and everything. So I developed a dummy that allows you to practice NBC technique pretty realistically, to have all the reference points that you would need to do the technique as best you can without access to a live partner.
Yeah.
And we really tried to focus on that idea of how to empower people to do legit training if they don't have a regular training partner, a live, breathing human being.
Let's just clarify, the dummy is not Mike Seeklander.
True. In this case, no. In this case, no. Terminology may still apply, but no.
We have got like 9-10 million people who have now come into the culture over the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Probably for every one of those who carries a gun, they also carry a folding knife. I think that would probably be a fair thing to say. And yet they train with a gun, but they have no idea what to do with the folding knife. So what would you suggest to them? Say, okay, if you're going to carry this tool that has the potential to protect yourself or to kill somebody, what steps do they need to take?
They need to really follow the same pattern of behavior, the same pattern of training they do with their firearm. So they need to realize when it comes to use of force, it falls into the exact same category. So as far as knives, you're also in the lethal force realm. Mm-hmm. So some people say, oh, this is less lethal. It's not. So it is a lethal weapon. You need to understand the dynamics of when it's applicable. So when you look at contact distance conflict, it's different than with a firearm where you can stand off and have that advantage of distance. And realize that it really, in many ways, is a more complicated skill set than what you will have with a firearm. So you need to figure out essentially what you would do to use it effectively. And the basic logic of NBC, the way we lay it out, the very first things we say, you're going to fight with a knife you actually carry. You need to quantify and understand the destructive capacity of that knife. You need to be able to translate that to the human body. And then you need to understand how knives stop reliably and predictably. And if you can wrap your head around all that stuff and kind of get not only the tactics, but the anatomical aspect of it, the physiological aspect, that determines whether the knife is a good choice for you as a defensive weapon or not. And if so, then you seek out the training. You look at the distance learning program, you look at any other training that you might have access to, and have a really good bullshit detector in the process.
I think you need that especially.
And, well, you know how it
Everybody
goes.
is a stealthy ninja killer with a knife.
Well, as you know from the firearms industry, there's a lot of misinformation out there,
Yeah.
sadly. Well-meaning people who maybe are not as informed as they should be. So what you have to look at tactics that are going to give you a reliable result. If I do this, can I reliably expect this result to be able to stop the threat and save my life? And if you find somebody who's off in the weeds in the martial arts world and everything, and it doesn't lead you to that conclusion, then you're on the wrong path.
Once a year, are you still doing your Martial Blade Concepts training week? And August it usually is?
So we usually do the training Martial Blade Camp. Used to be in late August. We've been kind of early September. The past few years, it's been the weekend right after Labor Day. We completed our camp just recently, a few weeks ago. So we had 91 people from all over the U.S.
It got bigger.
We maxed out at about 100 and almost 120 a few years ago, pre-COVID. So we had no international contingent this time, but we still did pretty well. And that's also where we do all of our instructor testing to certify people as instructors in NBC. So that event went really well. And I'm still teaching seminars around the country as the dynamics of the world situation allows. I'll be up in New England before the end of the year, and then I'm going to start. I have some really good hosts across the country. So I typically will do one in LA. I'll be in San Francisco in February. Been working really closely with Florida Firearms Training down in Florida.
Okay.
So I get down there a couple times a year. So I try to get something in every time zone.
And on a personal note, you recently became a grandfather.
Twice over.
That's just creepy because I knew his daughter when she was
Yeah.
little.
Yeah, you remember her when she was teeny.
Yeah.
And now she's grown, she's a mom, got 2 granddaughters, and I'm loving it.
Good. So you had some opportunity with time at home to be able to spend some time with your grandkids as well.
I think kind of like you, we were running so hard for so long.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how you did it, but I was, doing my best to try to keep pace with you with the training and travel that I was doing. And when we were forced to kind of put the brakes on for a while, it was a good opportunity to reflect, kind of look at relationships, look at business relationships, figure out what's important, what's not, and how to live life a little bit better, a little bit more sanely.
Turns out family is what's important.
Yeah, family and good friends, absolutely.
Always good to see you. Looking forward to you coming up to the Secret Hidden Bunker soon.
Can't wait.
And you never know. Who knows? Maybe there'll be some other show with him and whatever that other guy's name was. Dummy. We're here with Heather Miller. The last time I saw Heather, you should have seen her. She was like a wreck, sweat pouring off of her. She'd been dragging a tire back and forth on a shooting range. So, how was that for you, Heather?
It was wonderful. I was really, really sore. I had some bumps and some bruises, and I lost quite a bit of skin on my palms. And I had about a week of recovery, and I've recovered since now. It was quite the learning experience, for sure.
Heather was at a training class with Tess Solve for the tactical games. Tess, as you know, she's a great instructor. She's also about that sane. Tess does a lot of things that many people would see as punishment.
Yeah.
I think,
Yeah.
as being in a prison where you're being punished by dragging tires, by doing all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
But you're getting closer to
Yes.
your event. You're getting closer to your first Tactical Games big event.
I am. I have since then I've hired a personal trainer. I've gotten a lighter body armor, so I'm not carrying 18 pounds. I'm now carrying 12 pounds, which is a huge difference. I've made adjustments on my gear as far as my rifle and my sling, and I'm doing a lot of cardio and a lot of functional fitness and lifting awkward, heavy things and shooting under pressure.
So you're a lot of fun around the house. Like, I think I'm
Oh,
going to
yeah.
go lift the couch and
Yeah.
carry it around the house just a little.
No, my husband's like, have fun with that. It's like, all right, enjoy yourself. I'm like, all right.
Things are going good with Staccato.
Can't be better. It's amazing. We're the title sponsor of the show. I heard yesterday people that were being interviewed said that the most exciting part of the day was shooting a Staccato. So
Cool.
big win.
Well, just as a gunny thing here for people who are watching,
Yeah.
you guys have really done a great job of pioneering 1911 on an optical platform.
Yes.
All of a sudden, you know, the 1911 gets to play with the modern things.
Yes, yes. As a good friend told me, it said, "Thank you for making 1911s cool again." But they are. They're so fun to shoot. They have significantly less recoil. They have an amazing trigger. And I tell people, it brings the joy back into shooting. You don't have to fight all that recoil. It can be a joyful, pleasurable shooting experience, which correlates over to, you know, defensive shooting, because we all like to hit the target, whether it's a piece of steel or the bad guy.
Well, it's good to see you again. It's good to see
Yeah.
you recovered.
Yes.
Because it looked like touch and go on that kind of last day.
Oh yeah, yeah. I banged my head pretty good, and I told someone I saw stars for a little bit.
Heather, as always, thank you. Good luck on your first competition.
you.
We
Thank
will
you.
be rooting for you.
Yes.
You've all heard about the current administration, or as I prefer to think of it, is the current ruling junta attack on gun rights, and one of the ways to do that is attacking ammunition that has come from Russia, which represents, Ron, how much of ammunition in the United States is coming from?
About 30 to 35% of all the ammunition sold in the United States comes from Russia, and if it's not the complete ammunition, it's going to be some components of ammunition, which was also banned.
Now, you've worked really hard in bringing Barnaul into the country.
Well,
one of the better Russian brands, maybe the best Russian brand. You've worked really hard in bringing that in. Where are you at this point with that?
Well, MKS Supply, which is my master distributor for inland products, we work together on that, and we also have Shooting Depot, which is a major dealer and distributor of the Barnaul ammunition. And the Barnaul Ammo is probably the most accurate and consistent ammunition across the board I've ever tested, and I've shot a lot of ammo.
Yeah, you have. You have.
And for that, the way that impacted when the sanction came through, which makes no sense whatsoever, the sanction was supposed to be against the Russian Federation. Barnaul's a private entity, has absolutely nothing to do with the government. But they're the only ones, the ammunition manufacturers are the only ones that got impacted by the ban. All the other stuff they sanctioned was already banned. So
Yeah.
what sense does it make? So it is obvious as an opportunity for them to gig the firearm community.
Absolutely. Your ticket is good for X number of months still, right?
Well,
Or X number of years at this point.
it's going to be we're going to have a limited supply of it. The import permits that were approved are still going through, from what we understand at this point. But we had a lot of new product that was coming in, and we're good for about 2 years in import permits. But once that's gone, it's gone, and we have a limited supply of what we're going to be able to get in.
Now, you've reached out to other manufacturers online.
Yes.
This is your self-defense line?
Yeah, this is
House of Pain.
Yeah, House of
baby.
Pain.
P-A-Y-N-E, okay.
I met with these guys at Camp Perry. We're at the national matches at Camp Perry. These folks are up there, tremendous group. They're out of Ohio. It's 100% veteran operated and manufactured ammunition. And they're doing a great job with it. And they're getting some specialty rounds that we just can't get anywhere else. The 380, 38, 357. And they're doing a great job with it.
So you got that available?
Yes.
And it is, luckily it's made in America, so you have an alternative. Unfortunately, then you had a whole line of 410 shotgun shells that you and I have been talking about, that you were thinking that these shotgun shells were going to really, in a lot of ways, there's a lot of 410 shotguns out there. I have one, obviously, a lever gun from Henry, but there's a number of semi-auto based on AK. You were looking at those rounds as really supercharging that 410 market.
Absolutely.
And all of them didn't make the cut, did they?
Not all of them, but we got some of the slugs in, and we should have some number 6 and some and buckshot coming in. Hopefully it comes through. We don't know yet.
And Inland is doing well with your genuine World War II
Absolutely. Yeah.
line of firearms. Yeah.
The iconic M1 carbine, probably, and we're, a lot of people wonder, why do we have this here at the USCCA? This is for home defense as well, and there's probably not a better home defense platform than the M1 carbine.
That's one of the things they found out even at Gunsight in some of the classes, is people who showed up with M1 carbines, no, it doesn't have the quote-unquote stopping power of a larger rifle round, but on the other hand, it's a little bit like, shooting a stapler
Well,
And
the
once
M1
again,
carbine
equivalent
is,
to 3,
the 30 carbine
357.
is like a 357 Magnum on steroids. So it is not at 100 yards or less. It's a tremendous platform. And you know, if memory serves me right, Audie Murphy didn't have much trouble with one in World War II.
I asked my mentor once, Jim Cirillo from the New York State PD Stakeout Squad, who carried a shortened barrel M1 carbine, M2. And I said, you know, people say 30 carbine doesn't work. And I said, you have real world experience. And he goes, you know, every one I shot with it fell down. So there's a lot
Jim
to
was
be
using
said
a
from
cut
that.
down Winchester using or Winchester ammunition, soft point, and it was the best one-shot stop firearm that the task force used.
And plus, they're just great fun to shoot. Ron, good luck in dealing with the current ruling junta.
Well, thank you. It's good seeing you here, Mike.
As always, as
Yes.
always. That's the end of this first Triggered special on the USCCA Expo and Training event 2021 in Fort Worth, Texas a couple of weeks ago. Now you need to be sure to tune in to number 2, the Triggered special, which is right next door. And that's going to start up with Mr. Rob Pincus. I'm Michael Bain. Triggered specials are brought to you by Midway USA, just about everything for shooting, hunting, and the outdoors. You can find us on michaelbain.tv. You can find us on YouTube, and you can find us on Rumble. Wherever you find us, please subscribe.